You ever click that Buy Now button and just wonder, what happens in that split second? It's not magic, that's for sure. It's this hidden world of high-stakes tech, crazy smart AI, and, well, a literal army of robots. So let's pull back the curtain on this incredible world.
Because what's happening inside these giant fulfillment centers, it's so much more than just getting your stuff to you faster. This is ground zero. It's a preview of how our entire economy is about to be reshaped one robot at a time.
So where did this whole thing even start? Well, you could say the starting pistol was fired back in 2012. That's when Amazon bought Kiva Systems, the top dog in warehouse robotics. And with that one move, they didn't just get a head start, they basically took the technology off the market, forcing everyone else to either innovate or get left in the dust. And that kicked off the full-blown automation arms race we're seeing right now.
To really get what's happening here, we've got to start with the giant in the room, Amazon. Their goal wasn't just to use robots. No, their ambition was to become the biggest designer, manufacturer, and operator of them on the planet.
And just look at this number, over 1 million robots. I mean, let that sink in for a second. That's a robot workforce larger than the population of some major cities, all coordinating, all moving products 24/7. It's staggering.
And this isn't just 1 million of the same robot either. No way. This is a highly specialized fleet. You've got Sequoia, which brings the shelves right to the workers, cutting down fulfillment time by a ton. Then there's Proteus, this completely autonomous bot that can just safely cruise around human employees. You've got these incredible AI-powered arms, Sparrow and Vulcan, that can pick millions of different items. And the brains of the whole operation? A generative AI called Deep Fleet, which is basically air traffic control for the entire warehouse floor.
But here's where the story gets really interesting. In trying to lock down its own dominance, Amazon, well, they accidentally planted the seed for their fiercest competitor.
Yeah, so remember that Kiva deal? Absolutely brilliant, aggressive move for Amazon. But by taking that tech completely off the market, they basically slammed the door on everyone else. If you were another company and you wanted to automate, tough luck, the main supplier was just gone.
This created a real do-or-die moment for one of Kiva's biggest former customers. They had a choice. Either give up on automation and fall behind, or try to build something even better themselves.
And right there, out of that necessity, Locus Robotics was born, a direct response to Amazon's market-shaking power play.
Now, Locus didn't just want to build a copy of the old Kiva robots. They were aiming for something their CEO called the Holy Grail of automation, a totally new and smarter way to do things.
Okay, so this is the absolute key. It's a fundamental shift in how you even think about the work. The old way was person to goods. Even if robots were helping, you still had a human worker walking miles and miles a day to find products. The new way that Locus pioneered is robots to goods, or R2G. The robot does all the traveling. It goes to the item, it picks the item, and it brings it where it needs to go. This one change pretty much wipes out the vast majority of manual labor from the process.
And the piece of hardware that makes this all possible is the Locus Array. And trust me, this is not just some fancy cart. We're talking about a 1,000+ pound beast of a robot with this incredible telescoping arm that can reach over 10 feet high. You can only imagine the engineering challenges, power, computation, and especially battery life. It took them years to finally crack it.
And look, this isn't some science fair project. The logistics giant DHL, one of the biggest players in the world, is the first to actually deploy the Locus Array. When a company like DHL says this is the next chapter, you better believe the entire industry sits up and pays attention. It's a massive seal of approval.
But of course, all this incredible technology, all this efficiency, it brings up a huge and frankly very tough question. What does all this mean for human workers?
And you know, there are two very different answers to that. On one side, you have companies like Amazon making the case that robots take over the repetitive, physically draining jobs. They say it creates safer work and opens up new, higher-skilled roles for people to maintain the tech. They'll point to the 700,000 employees they've already upskilled. On the other side, you have critics like Senator Bernie Sanders who are sounding the alarm. They point to layoffs and leaked documents that suggest the long-term goal is to automate the vast majority of these jobs, which could put millions of people out of work.
This whole debate is so critical because, let's be real, this technology isn't just going to stay inside warehouse walls. We are watching the very beginning of a much, much bigger industrial shift.
In fact, it's gotten so big that it's now being treated as a national priority.
You've got the U.S. government, with interest from different administrations and both sides of the aisle, signaling major support for America's own robotics industry. There's a growing consensus that being a leader in automation is absolutely critical for the future. And if you want to understand the sheer speed of this change, just look at these numbers from Locus Robotics. It took them until September 2022 to hit their first billion items picked. Now look ahead. They're projected to hit their 6th billion by October 2025. But here's the really mind-blowing part. The next billion after that is projected to take just 6 months. This isn't just growth, it's exponential acceleration.
So you see, this was never just about your shopping cart. The warehouse was just the perfect training ground for a new generation of physical, AI-driven automation. And that leaves us with the real question. What happens when these robots finally roll out of the warehouse doors and into the rest of our world?